Jerry Abrahams,
Here.
Cindy Butts,
Here.
Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWinger,
Here.
Kylie Goslin.
Here.
Tim Hodges,
Here.
Kathy McKinnon,
Here.
Kayla Mascara Bruno,
Here.
George Perez,
Here.
Sarah Sanders,
Here.
Glenn Thames,
Present.
Greg Ugalde,
Present.
and I know that Franklin Perry and Lisa Tepper Bates will not be attending.
Thank you, Shelley. So we have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the public comments. So Shelley, if you can
Sure.
do your thing.
This is the only opportunity on the agenda for public comments. If anyone would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? Any comments? We have no comments, so I'll turn the meeting back over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Shelley. Nandini is going to give us the executive director's report. Nandini.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I agree, October has flown by way too fast. I wanted to take a few minutes to share an update on our strategic plan. We're in the first year, I think part of our plan was to set up some goals, and then we also created some key performance indicators that I think it's the first time for CHFA to actually measure how we're doing in implementing the plan's goals. And so I wanted to quickly walk you through some of the key KPIs and kind of get your feedback about whether you think this dashboard that we've created is something you'd like to see going forward. So Shelley, would you mind sharing it?
Can you see it?
No. There it is. Great. So this is available as a link in your report. We're happy to provide it going forward as often as you'd like to see it. Some of the measures may not be available on a monthly basis, but certainly we could do something semi-annually. So this is for the period January 1 to September 30th. The KPIs are broken out into 18 different individual categories and grouped into 9 larger groupings. And the list, I don't know if you can read it, but production, customer satisfaction, communication, so on and so forth. For the sake of time, I'll keep going. So the production goals, the first one I wanted to talk about was single family. So we are far short of our target of 3,000 loans. And I don't think it should come as any surprise that we're dealing in an extremely difficult market environment for 2021. The target was set based on the 5-year average, but first-time home buyers in the last 18 months have been severely disadvantaged. The year-over-year median sales price in Connecticut was an all-time 20-year high. I think Connecticut was not alone in what's happening in the marketplace, but certainly there are certain phenomenons that played out particularly acutely in Connecticut, especially Southern Connecticut, because of its proximity to the New York City metro area. The bidding wars were just commonplace. Seasoned buyers were definitely much more able to secure homes over first-time home buyers. Also affecting Connecticut is a lack of inventory of affordably priced single-family homes that our low and moderate income home buyers would purchase. The inventory of the small entry-level home, or starter home as it's called, has been in decline for some time now. There are a number of reasons for it. Nationwide, there's a $4 million number shortage of affordable priced homes over the demand. So this is not a Connecticut problem, but it's particularly acute in Connecticut because of the lack of availability of affordable housing in towns in Connecticut, the high cost of land, the growth in household formation, the COVID migration, and the incredible demand for homes in the last 18 months. We've made some changes to our programs, as you're aware. We've made borrowing closing costs a part of the down payment borrowed by the home purchaser, increasing the amount of down payment assistance that could be borrowed, because down payment assistance is still very much an impediment for the first-time home buyer. We've lowered the rate on the second to 1%, removed the asset test, and we've made some other changes. Unfortunately, that may not be sufficient. We're looking at other ways that we can bring greater affordability to our products for 2022, including increasing the amount of down payment assistance, as well as looking at a deferred loan product for the down payment assistance loan. We want to look at supply side approaches. That is very difficult for a variety of reasons, including the high cost of building and land versus the affordability that would be needed to make that home affordable. And so there's an appraisal gap that, or actually just a gap in terms of the cost versus the cost, the price you can get for that home. And so those are challenges we're going to have to look at. We've done some work on the supply side through the nonprofits that we work with, but the net increase in inventory every year that we can effectuate is still very small. So we are committed to looking at different approaches, either through a single family rehab program that does more community revitalization in disinvested neighborhoods, looking at ways to partner with the Department of Housing and others to bring about a greater supply. And then really just looking at how we make available information about CHFA's products and programs, and how we bring counseling and education to bear in providing all of the information that people need, not only at the time of purchase, but on an ongoing basis, and for mobility in terms of where they may want to look to buy homes. And so just wanted to put that out there, that we are committed to looking at this more holistically. On the percentage of single family loans in targeted areas, we were able to not only meet our target, but beat our stretch goal. Moving on to multifamily. So here we've been able to really beat our 5-year average and even beat our stretch goal. We have 1,136 units that were created or preserved in 2021. For higher opportunity areas, so board approved loans in higher opportunity areas with the sort of policy goal being that we want to create housing in areas in Connecticut that currently there isn't much affordable housing. We were able to have 4 transactions that were board approved in these areas in 2021, a little short of our target. Moving on, communities of need. So we identified, we wanted to fully launch at least 3 strategies or programs that would meet the needs of particular communities or particular households. And so with that in mind, there was the mobile home program, that was a refinance program, and relaunching our purchase program to help households that live in mobile homes. We rehauled the QAP in 2021 and adopted the state map, opportunity map, so as to look at census tract level data for how to incentivize building in towns with opportunity, with higher opportunities for the 9% program. And finally, we did look at our down payment assistance program and made a significant number of changes to provide greater access to these programs. Under financial innovation, we way overshot our target and our stretch goals in terms of the number of recommendations that were made last year. If you recall, through our strategic capital analysis, we have implemented 12 out of all the recommendations, and our target was originally 4. We have committed about $19 or $20 million from our ITA and Opportunity Fund, slightly short of our goal. This is the first year that we're making these funds available in a more consolidated or identified fashion. And so we think starting next year, developers will incorporate these funds into their deals. And as they structure their deals, they're going to know that we will have these funds available, and we should be able to commit these funds a little bit more quickly. Moving on to community engagement, we were able to launch a couple of initiatives related to what we heard from the community. One of them was relating to single-family policies. So we identified a group of stakeholders. We met 3 or 4 times during the year. We're creating a plan of action that stems out of a gap analysis that we created from conversations with this group, and we're going to be operationalizing that in 2022. Similarly, we've convened a group of partners across diverse industries, and we're going to create a partnership plan that is going to be operationalized in 2022. Operational excellence, we've done quite well. In single family, we've been able to beat our target, but not quite our stretch. So this is where the days from loan reservation to purchase, so a lower number is better. We're currently at 90. We think that incentivizing lenders by providing them an increase in their origination fee has actually worked to lower that number. So we're quite happy with that result. In multifamily, we've done quite well. We've beaten our stretch goal. And these are the days from board approval to initial closing. So we think that we could do even better. We are working with DOH to streamline the process of closing, and we're going to be looking at ways that we can work together to take deals where CHFA and DOH both have financing in the deal and use one closing mechanism to close those deals, which should improve going forward deals where there's both sources of financing. We've currently decided to wait on doing any surveys with our outside customers. We wanted to give 2021 some time, and then, you know, in year 2 of our strategic plan, go back outside and look at what the results of the survey would look like compared to the first year. Organizational development, we're going to put that on hold till 2022. We're going to look at more of a training framework to try to build employee skills and look at succession planning as a way to effectuate that, and the performance measurement process as well. Technology and communications, we have, if you could move down, please, Shelley. We did issue the strategic plan for technology, and we are currently at 50%, which means that we have the vendor under contract, and the project plan kickoff is going to be imminently starting. And then the CHFA brand, which was looking at how CHFA communicates with the outside world and what messages we want to communicate going forward. We are at 30%, which just means that we have issued the RFP and we are reviewing the proposals. And in terms of marketing campaigns, we did have one marketing campaign, so we did meet our target. This is relating to the mobile home purchase and refinance program. We did an extensive postcard marketing campaign. We sent postcards to over 9,000 households, and we did brochures and we worked with the Mobile Home Advisory Council to make these brochures available to mobile home park owners, and we're continuing to find ways to make that program be more effective and be used by the households we'd like to serve. So that is all I have for my CEO ED report. I'm curious to see if you have any feedback. Do you like this particular format? Would you like to see something else? Is it too much information? You know, just curious.
Thank you, Nandini. I think it's great to see a dashboard and actually see results, whether they're challenging times or whether we have good results. It's always good to see that. So comments, questions, feedback on the presentation from Nandini.
Hey, Nancy, it's Jerry Abrahams.
Jerry?
So
Go ahead.
it looks really good. I love a dashboard. I think it's a good shot at the metrics. And the expectation is this will be available at the board meeting monthly, or will it something be online, updated, real time? What's the plan for how often the dashboard is updated and available?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jerry. I think monthly might be, you know, some things just don't change monthly. I want to make sure it is useful to the board. I think quarterly could be something that we could aspire toward. It might just give a little bit more space between, you know, initiatives and sort of seeing progress. I would hate to just update the dashboard and have one number change every month. So I would recommend quarterly, but certainly we can make it available on the website, or and we'll think about ways to make it more accessible for the board and the public in general.
Right. I guess I would just, if the dashboard is a huge, you may want to look at sort of the data inputs in the dashboard. If there are things that are really difficult to update, those you could probably do quarterly, and things that are simpler and easier, you could do, you know, monthly. So you don't necessarily have to update every single number monthly, but it would be good. I think my preference, but again, I don't want to overburden staff doing a lot of work to make immaterial changes. But it would be, I think it's great, and it would be really helpful. I think it's a better presentation than some of the quarterly reports that we're getting currently in terms of an overall picture of what we're trying to achieve. And so it would be my preference if we could have it monthly, even if not necessarily every single number on it was updated monthly, but still just such a good snapshot of what we really care about, which is production and efficiency and all that. There's something to think about.
Thanks for the
Thank you,
feedback.
Jerry. Greg?
Yes, first, just a quick comment. So I was just in some meetings in Savannah, and I had somebody come up that's done 3 loans with housing finance agencies recently, and wants to share how Connecticut, our CHFA is so much better than the others. So I can't wait to hear what those points are, but it's not the first time I've heard that, you know that. So, and they do quite a bit of work around the country, so it'll be interesting. But my question, I do think it's excellent. I agree with Jerry. This is a great presentation, and I saw Kylie had commented the same direction. But how many mobile homes do we have in Connecticut? Like you said, it went out to over 1,000. I'm curious as to what this marketplace looks like.
It went out to 9,000 actually. So I think I want to say it's at least double that, but I don't know. Valencia, are you on here? Do you have an idea of the total number of mobile home households in the state?
Good morning. I am on, but I don't have that number off the top of my head. I do know that working with the Mobile Home Advisory Committee, we reached out to every mobile home in the state, and we were quite surprised to find out that there was so many of them across the state. We can get that number for you and share it the next time.
So thank you, Greg, for that. And this is the opportunity actually to get the feedback, and you have an excellent point, because if we have the marketing, we want to know what the target, right? The numbers of mobile home. So maybe staff and Nandini, you guys we can incorporate, we can doing a little bit of addition to that so that people knows what was the market and then what's the result of that marketing campaign.
Understood.
Sarah?
Yes, thank you. Did I hear correctly that we're kind of delaying the addressing succession planning until
No, we're not delaying succession planning. So last year, for this year, we had said we would do these skills matrices, which really is sort of it's something that used to be done in the human resource world years ago, or, for a few years. But what we've learned through our research is that that's just kind of passé. And what people are doing now is they're looking more at training and using a training framework, and succession planning being one way of looking at what jobs are key and core to your organization, and then using training as the framework to bring up folks internally and building that capacity and those skills. So it's just a different way of looking at how to do organizational development. It's not sort of creating these flat matrices, but more using training and performance measurements and conversations, guided supportive conversations to get to the same result, essentially. So we are hoping to do that in 2022.
At the state, there's a lot of concern with succession planning right now because some major retirements are being announced by very senior and experienced people because of the change in the pension. And I think you probably face some of that. I'm not sure if you do, but face some of that same risk and becoming more and more of a priority.
We've been addressing it as we've come into contact with it in this last year and a half. But what we're planning on doing is more proactive, looking at across the authority at the positions where we may have one person who knows a particular job, or there's something else that we think is key to the organization that we need to develop capacity and bench strength for, and we're going to do that in 2022.
Thank you, Sarah. Cindy?
Yeah, my process in my organization is similar to what Nandini just said. It's more authorizing a process for an available position versus a pathway to a particular position. Because often, like, for example, if I were to leave my position and if someone was in succession, someone would still say we should do a national search. And that's not in the succession plan. And that completely frustrates the staff. That's like, what's this national plan if we had the succession? So knowing that often boards of directors or executive committees or leadership teams want to throw wide nets every time there's an availability, it seems to work better just to be sure there's cross-training in the staff, to provide opportunities for staff, and to have a plan so that if I were to leave and people were to say, oh, this is what we all agreed, we form a search committee, we'll do this, we'll do that, all of it. So I agree. I think that the traditional, a long time ago, we used to say, we have to have a plan in place and there has to be someone specifically on staff who's going to take over, only for the organization to disagree. So I do think Nandini has, in my opinion, like the right approach to handling it, just based on my experience.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other comments? All right, Nandini, could you just briefly give us an update on the survey?
Sure,
what is
sure.
next?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I wanted to thank the board for their participation in the survey. We've got a significant number of board members who did participate. So we have results that are being aggregated right now, and we hope to come back in November with aggregated results to share with you, as well as a draft plan of engagement for 2022 for the board. So looking forward to that.
Thank you. Any other question, comments? Well, thank you, Nandini. That was a great presentation and great job. Thanks.
Thank you.
So our next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee. They finally got to work, so they have a resolution today.
Yeah, we took a 30-day break,
Okay, so you're on, Hassan.
Okay. So good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. So right now, the information has been provided to all of you in a confidential folder. Please let us know if you have trouble accessing it. So the resolution was discussed at Finance Committee, and I just want to provide you the full-blown presentation because this is not something that you see on a regular basis. So for your approval is a resolution to appoint bond underwriters for 2 CHFA bond programs, the Housing Mortgage Finance Program bonds, which is our master resolution, and the state-supported special obligation bonds. As required by our statute, we are to conduct and publish an RFP once every 3 years for bond underwriters. The appointment will be effective for 3 years or for calendar year 2022, 2023, and 2024. The last evaluation was done in 2018. In summary, we received 24 proposals, of which 2 were from new firms. With the assistance from our financial advisor, we reviewed and evaluated each proposal on a variety of items, including the firm's performances over the last engagement period, technical expertise, retail distribution, and credit capacity. As mentioned, our review findings and supporting documentation are included in your packet. Accordingly, for the Housing Mortgage Finance Program bonds, we are recommending and respectfully request approval for 5 firms to act as senior manager on a rotational basis and by program, 5 firms to act as co-senior manager, where each firm will be partnered with a senior manager on a rotational basis and by program, 8 firms to act as co-manager split by program, and 6 firms to act as selling group members. For the state-supported special obligation bonds, we are recommending and respectfully request approval for 1 firm to act as senior manager, 1 firm to act as co-senior manager, 2 firms to act as co-managers, and finally 2 firms to act as selling group members. The names of the firms are in the resolution. The resolution was presented to Finance Committee, and the committee asked a few questions. They asked about the changes made from the last engagement, whether the recommendation achieves or address comments received from members of the board, the ability to remove or suspend firms during engagement, and bond expenses and its relevancy. The resolution was approved unanimously by committee. I'm now happy to answer any questions, comments, or address anything from the board at this time.
Thank you, Hazin. Comments or questions for Hazin? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move, Jerry Abrahams.
Thank you, Jerry.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Comment, questions? Hearing none. Oh, Greg?
Yeah, just one quick question. So how many new firms and how many changes do we see from each approval process?
When we did this last time in 2018, we received 29 proposals. This time we received 24. Of the 24, 2 are new. So 22 of the firms did respond in 2018. So that's the big picture. In terms of the big changes that we made, is the creation of this subgroup called co-seniors, specifically to address and to satisfy our intent to promote more diversity among the firms. So if you look at the firms that we selected to become co-seniors, all of them are either a minority, women-owned, or service-disabled veterans.
Thank you, Greg. Any other question? All right, Shelley?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Betts,
Aye.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Stella Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
George Perez,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Glenn Thames,
Aye.
Greg Ugaldi,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carries. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Mortgage Committee, Masuda will present 2 resolutions. Masuda?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. The first resolution before you is for Cherry Street Lofts in Bridgeport. The board is being asked to consider modification and extensions to the existing notes. First, we are seeking your approval to modify and subordinate the $5 million FAF loan as described in the action request. And then secondly, we are asking your authorization to give the CEO Executive Director authority to extend the maturity date of the construction loan currently for $22.5 million. This loan is scheduled to mature on December 1, as well as extend the interest-only period on the $12.5 million permanent loan to April 15, 2022. This is to allow for the Fannie Mae and Citi takeout on the final closing of the CHFA loan. The vote in Mortgage Committee was unanimous. We have staff available to answer any questions, and I would also welcome any comments from Mortgage Committee as you consider this resolution.
Thank you, Masuda. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it. It's Heidi.
Thank you. Questions?
All I can say is from Mortgage Committee that this is the last, we assume, we hope it's the last modification. This has been painful, but we're at the finish line.
Thank you, Heidi.
But-
Any other comment?
Yeah, so for this one, I get this has been probably a long story and a lot of
Yeah.
deferrals.
is.
So I just wasn't sure. So on the takeout, ultimately the expectation is that Citi's going to arrange Fannie takeout, and but we're going to still have a piece subordinated to that takeout, correct?
That is correct. Yes, the construction and the permanent loan will be taken out by Fannie or the city structure. And then the only mortgage that will be remaining is the $5 million FAF loan.
Right. So then the FAF loan, I assume, was just for cost overrun. That's the adjustment factor loan. So
That is correct. Yeah.
So so what's the plan? So the expectation is that we'll get the FAF loan. It's subordinated, but is it? Do we have any acceleration? Any if it doesn't pay, do we have any rights at all? If in fact let's say they're otherwise performing on the Fannie Mae loan, but there's just not insufficient coverage or cash flow to pay any interest or debt service on the FAF. Do we have any remedies at all?
Yes, let me have Michelle Onofrio, who's the underwriter on the deal, answer that
Okay.
question.
Good morning, everyone. So the FAF loan doesn't, the FAF loan in the original transaction wouldn't begin making payments until 2036. And that's at the point that the city loan would become due. So we weren't collecting anything on that FAF loan until 2036 in the original structure.
Okay,
Am I
and then we
answering
say-
your question?
Yeah, right. So it's just there's no principal or interest.
It's
It's
just
Right.
there.
Right,
Does the
it's
interest
just there.
accrue? Does the interest accrue
No,
at all? Okay, this zero.
zero
This is
zero interest. And in year 2036, they would start making payments, hard payments, as well as cash flow payments or surplus cash payments.
Okay,
So we're restructuring that.
But
Right,
what's
so
the
it's just-
reality, Michelle, in 2036, which is 15 years from now, but what's the reality is the whole thing gets restructured and
Exactly.
refinanced.
The city loan would become, the Fannie Mae loan would become due, and we would expect that to be refinanced. It's about 11.9 million that's due at that time. So we would expect that to be refinanced.
And we have a mortgage lien, but albeit a second one or a third or whatever.
Right.
Right, and so that presumably they'll either do a complete recap prior to
Right.
that or at that point, or they'll sell it. And we will have control on like a sale.
Is that a yes, Masuda?
I'm
or
sorry,
Michelle?
I'm sorry, you broke up there for a second.
I'm sorry. So presumably they'll either do a recap. If it starts performing, they'll do a recap.
Right.
Or they'll do a refi and
They'll do a refi.
or when the city loan becomes due, or they could potentially, I guess they'll still be, it's LIHTC property, they'll still be in the compliance period, so they can't sell it. So it'll either be a recap or it'll be a recap or a refi.
A refi, yeah, and
Okay.
we're willing to take a subordinate position to a refinance lender, provided though that the amount isn't higher than what's due to city at that time, which we anticipate being 11.9 million.
Right. And so and I guess my only questions back is why was there no, and I guess maybe I'll answer my own question, but I assume that even the projections didn't allow even for any accrual of interest at this point. It's just so tight. Just
Yeah, it
because
was
how much debt is going to be on the project.
Exactly. Right. So we anticipated there being cash flow and money to pay hard debt in 2036. But when we first structured the deal, it just wasn't, we needed to have payments begin in 2036.
Okay. No more comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, Shelley, could you please do the roll call?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Cindy?
Sorry, my unmute was slow. Yes.
Okay. Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Taylor Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
George Perez,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Glenn Thames,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carries. Thank you, Shelley. And I have to say that Michelle has been doing a great job in making sure that this project moves forward, and also that keep up with our requirements and our deadlines. So thank you, Michelle. Masuda, your next resolution.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The next resolution is for Edith Johnson Tower in New Haven. The board is being asked to approve a construction first mortgage leasehold loan utilizing tax-exempt bond proceeds for up to 5.8 million to BCJ Edith Johnson LLC. The loan will be interest only at a rate of up to 4.5% and a term of up to 24 months. Edith Johnson Tower is an existing 14-story elderly building comprised of 95 units. This development benefits from a Section 8 HAP contract. The proposed financing will address a number of the deferred maintenance items, as well as preserving the long-term affordability for the elderly residents for an additional 40 years. The vote in mortgage committee was unanimous, and we have staff available to answer any questions as you consider the resolution.
Thank you, Masuda. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Move, Tim Hodges.
Thank you, Tim. Have a
Second.
second? Thank you, Greg. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Shelley, could you do the roll call?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts,
Aye.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Taylor Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
George Perez,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Glenn Thames,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carries. Thank you, Shelley. Next is Hassan is going to give us a report on the 2022 draft budget and plan of operations. Hassan.
Good morning again. So I'm here to provide a brief overview of the proposed annual budget for 2022. The formal requests will be made at the November 19 meeting. For those of you who are unfamiliar with CHFA budget process, we utilize a zero-based approach, compare our budget to actual, and account for what we plan to accomplish in the upcoming year. Since we are a self-supporting agency, we rely heavily on loans and investments to pay for our operating expenses. That's why the annual budget, in addition to an operating budget, it includes assumptions on loans receivables, investments, fee income, bonds payable, cost of issuance, and servicer fee. Which brings us to the importance of understanding what transpired during the current year. As a result of the pandemic, the overall interest rate environment was one of our biggest headwinds. Due to the low interest rate, our reinvestment rate and return dropped. It generated more competition to CHFA, so to speak. It created refinancing and buying opportunities for homeowners and home buyers respectively. Home prices went up, home inventory went down. To counteract the reduction in interest rate and single-family production volume, we took a defensive position and refunded as many eligible bonds as possible. As of today, we have issued over 1 billion of bonds, of which 741 million were to refund prior bonds. Along the way, the refunded bonds also allowed us to reduce our LIBOR position by 218 million. While single-family volume was down, we did experience an uptick in down payment utilization, including the loan size. On the multifamily side, we funded 7 tax-exempt loans and 2 taxable loans. And overall, our general and administrative expenses were slightly higher by 267,000 than 2020. So for the 2022, we are proposing a budget of 43.9 million. 69% or 29.5 million is to pay salaries and benefits, and the remaining 31% is to pay for capital and ongoing expenses. For personnel, we are assuming a total full-time employees of 148, where salaries do include the award approved by the board. Fringe expenses is still a matter of concern by management. Pension contribution alone is 65.9%. We believe this budget is reasonable to support the deployment of up to 940 million of proceeds and awards for multifamily and single family, and also for CHFA to achieve its 2022 strategic plan KPIs. Our goal is to put proceeds to work quickly but prudently. This includes refining our offering, such as down payment loans to meet and mitigate current challenges in the home buying space. In the packet, there is a budget explanation section where it provides explanation, assumptions, the rationale, year-over-year comparison for each line item. For example, I put a note in the loans receivable section that for the first time in CHFA history, we will have more multifamily loans outstanding than single family by year end. Finally, at the November meeting, we also required to provide an affirmative statement to the board chair that our bond reserve fund is fully funded and it does not require any replenishment from the state. That concludes my brief presentation. I'm happy to address any questions, comments from members right now, or we can do it after the meeting.
Thank you, Hassan. This is the presentation for the budget that we will approve in November. So it's a good opportunity for comments or questions that you may have, so that, and also take the opportunity later on to look a little more in depth the proposal that the staff is putting up for vote in November. Questions?
I know it's dry.
Well, Hassan, you did a very good job explaining everything, and I guess the board members will also take an opportunity to take a look at it after the meeting. And if they have any questions, they should send you an email, Hassan?
Sure. It seems like Commissioner Perez has a question. He has his hand
Oh,
raised.
I didn't see. Commissioner?
It's more of a statement than a question. I mean, I want the record to reflect that several of us are members of the audit, the Finance Audit Committee. And even though the chair claims that we don't do a lot of work, we did discuss the budget in great detail in committee, so it doesn't make sense to go over the same issues again in the board. So I just want the record to reflect that the silence does not mean that we did not meet and we did not work very hard on this budget.
So
Thank you.
I reflect how hard you guys worked to make sure that there are no questions and everything was very clear. Thank you, Sarah. You are.
No, our stuff is not as glamorous as spending the money, but still work.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. So thank you, Hassan. Great presentation. And thank you to the, I know I tease you guys, but I know that you work very hard on the Finance Committee. Our next
I also
item.
took it as you teasing us.
Next agenda item is our consent agenda approval. Is if I can have a motion.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second Jerry Abrahams.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Okay, Shelley?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Heidi DeWinger,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Stella Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
George Perez,
Yes.
Sarah Sanders,
Aye.
Glenn Thames,
Aye.
Greg Ugaldi,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carries. So before we adjourn the meeting, I do want to take the opportunity to thank and congratulate Glenn. Thank you for all your work at the board, and congratulations to your new ventures. And I wish you luck, Glenn. I don't know if you are there, if you can show.
Yeah, hi, I
cannot-
am here. I'm not on video because my bandwidth
okay.
is very limited, but hopefully you can hear me and I'm not too choppy.
Now we can hear you. So on behalf of the board, on behalf of the staff, thank you very much for your contribution. We wish you luck in your new venture. So I don't know if you want to say anything to the board.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And I just want to say thank you as our chairwoman and Deanie and the entire staff at CHFA and my fellow board colleagues. It's been a pleasure and honor to work with you. We've definitely navigated some tough waters with COVID, and now we're turning a quarter and need to get our state back on a full recovery. And so I'm not leaving the state. I'm taking a new opportunity in the private sector. So I will be a private citizen and definitely rooting from the sideline and doing whatever I can to continue to be engaged as a Connecticut resident and someone who cares about our great state and knows the full potential. But again, I just thank all of you for our work together and wish you all the best. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Anyone else wants to make any comments?
I would just say to Gwen that she doesn't need to be on the sideline. She can certainly be in the game as a private citizen. So I look forward to seeing her doing that.
Thank you.
Point well taken. Appreciate that.
Thank you, thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Hey, Sayla, just before you go, I'm sorry, it's Tim Hodges again. Shelley, I think I made a mistake and actually voted in favor of the Cherry Street, and I think I probably should have abstained from that. So I just want to make sure I go on the record as saying I abstained from that vote.
Thank you, Tim. Any other comments before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to
I
adjourn?
move that we adjourn.
Motion and a
Second.
second. All in favor, said aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to see you all, and hopefully at the next board meeting, we'll see you in person.
Excellent.
Let
Thank
us know.
you. All right.
So-
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.